Guys, what's up? We are live and I'm very excited about this video. We're going to talk about how to build a brilliant vocabulary. So going from basic vocabulary to a brilliant vocabulary that makes you feel super good, competent, expressive, confident in English. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to transform the way you express yourself in English by building a bigger vocabulary, and how this is going to help you finally understand native speakers more. So welcome everyone who's joining. I announced yesterday that I was going to do this video. I just finished the outline for it, like right before going live. So there's a lot we have to talk about, as always. A lot of information I want to share with you guys and insights into this topic. And I just have to say, I'm actually really surprised that I'm talking about vocabulary because my focus throughout being the English coach and everything like that, it's really been fluency mainly, and pronunciation. Okay, I've talked about grammar. And then recently, like in the last few months, I had this big epiphany where I was like, oh my goodness, I really need to be talking about vocabulary. And I realized how this is such a struggle and a pain point for English learners. But I think the reason why I didn't talk about it so much before is because I had not put in the thought to understanding the problem and coming up with the solution. Like I feel like it's pointless to just talk about something if I don't know the solution. And so I literally spent months, okay? You can talk to the people on my team, they will tell you. I spent months thinking about this problem with vocabulary, the problems it causes, and the best ways to solve these problems. And we're going to talk about all of this right now on this live video. You can consider it like your introduction masterclass to vocabulary. Okay, so here's what we'll do. I'm going to go through everything that I have in my notes. And I'm reading the comments as we do this. And then we're going to do questions. Okay, you guys, because I'm not good at multitasking. Most people are not. I just have to get through everything that I have to say, and then I can take your questions and stuff for that and stuff like that. Okay? Okay, so here we go. And we're going to make this a little bit interactive as well. The first thing I want to do is I want to make sure you're in the right place. Do you even need to be having this conversation with me right now? Okay. Do you even need to improve your vocabulary? Because some of you probably don't. Okay. Some of you probably have a great vocabulary. Maybe your vocabulary is even better than mine. Okay. So let's talk about, whether or not you need to actually improve your vocabulary. So first of all, you need to work on your vocabulary if you feel repetitive in English. Does anybody here feel repetitive in English? Like you're always saying the same words over and over, the same expressions over and over, and you just don't feel like you have variety, in your speech, in your words. You just feel repetitive. I remember that when I was a Spanish learner back in college, that's how I felt, okay? I would say like, oh, how are you? How's it going? That's nice, thank you. That's interesting, okay. I would like this, I would not like that. And like, I could express myself, I could talk, I could say what I wanted, but it's almost like my language skills were just so basic. And I know a lot of people feel this way in English and they like describe it like caveman English or something, like you can get your point across, but you don't feel great, and it's a hard work, it's a chore. And in your native language, you're just like, oh my gosh, my native language is so easy. I'm so expressive. You know how to use your own idioms that you have in your language. You can tell jokes. You understand your own cultural references. So you just fit right in with your native language. But with English, there's that barrier, right? There's like, maybe you don't understand the jokes because you don't understand parts of the culture. Or, stuff like that, okay? If you're missing technical terms, you might not understand what people are talking about where you work in the office, okay? If you don't know certain cliches, certain jargon, you're going to be lost. And the worst part is it sucks. It feels really bad. And sometimes, most times, I think we try to save face. Okay. Do you guys know this expression? This is like, we don't want people to know that we don't know what they're talking about. So we smile. We're like, oh, yeah, I get it. I get it. We laugh at the jokes, even though we don't get them. You might even lie without realizing it. You might be like, oh, yeah, I understand. Keep going. Even though you really don't understand. Okay. So all of these things can come down to vocabulary. Okay. If you don't have enough words, you're not going to be able to express yourself well or understand other people. Okay. So now, sometimes expressing yourself might come down to just simply a lack of confidence or, a thick accent that people can't understand, or maybe you don't understand someone else's accent. That's not what I'm talking about. Those are separate problems, okay? What I'm talking about is you understand the accent, you understand the pronunciation, but you don't get the meaning behind what somebody is saying, okay? Also because maybe they're not being literal. Maybe it's an expression that's not literal at all, right? But native speakers know how to understand it because we grow up with the language, right? By the way, I want you to rest assured it's 100% possible to achieve a high native level vocabulary in a language, okay? And we'll talk more about that in a second. So anyways, you feel repetitive in English. Next, you need to work on your vocabulary if you overuse words like thing and something, and you struggle to be specific, okay? One of the true marks of somebody who's advanced in a language is that they can be very specific. They know exactly what they mean, they say what they mean what they say, and they're able to use the right words. They don't necessarily have to be advanced words that are multi-syllable, okay? Like me. Am I using very advanced words right now? No, okay? But I'm able to put everything in the order that I need for you to understand my message, okay? So, by the way, I don't know if I said this in the beginning of the video, but especially for those people that are just hopping on, we're talking about vocabulary. We're talking about what you need to work on to improve your vocabulary, how to express yourself better. We're going to talk also about what to focus on and how to study. Okay, so like how to actually fix these problems. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you guys about our new vocabulary course, Basic to Brilliant Vocabulary, that we just launched yesterday. It's open for enrollment, and the link is in my bio for more information on that. But let's go back to what we were talking about. I just jump right into videos. I just jump right into teaching. I forget to like paint the full picture and let everybody know, okay, this is the agenda. Anyways, now that I got through that, okay, so again, you overuse words like thing and something, okay? These words are the go-to words for so many language learners. And for the same thing for me in Spanish when I was more of a beginner, okay? You overuse words like, oh, that thing over there, because you don't actually know what that thing is called, but that thing has a name, right? So you want to learn the names of the things around you so you can be specific, because when we're able to be specific in a language, my goodness, it feels good, okay? That will improve your confidence. If you're struggling with confidence, there's a big chance it could be because you simply lack vocabulary. It is so hard to be confident when you don't look and sound competent, okay? So just let that sink in a little bit. It's just the truth, okay? Not trying to be mean, not trying to be anything. Just we're here to learn and understand these problems together and solve them together. So, also, abstract words or words that are there to represent abstract ideas or feelings, right? So you might be talking to your friend and they're like, oh, how's your day going? And you're just like, I just feel, like when something happens and then you just, okay, you get what I'm saying, right? It's like you don't have the word to say, right now, I am whatever you're feeling, okay? Just whatever that word is, boom, right? There are so many words to express what you're going through in English. I mean, some off the top of my head, let me think. You could be feeling disappointed. You could be feeling overwhelmed. You could be feeling disrespected, okay? There's so many words to express something that's going on internally. And again, the more you can give specific names to everything around you, to your ideas, okay, to your feelings, to the objects around you, the more specific you are, the better people will understand you, okay? And the better you'll feel when you communicate. That's another thing. When people don't understand you in English, how do you know if it's because of your accent? Maybe it's not your accent. Maybe it's not your pronunciation. Maybe they don't understand you because you're not communicating a specific idea. This actually happens a lot when I communicate with non-native English speakers, and they're saying something I might have to ask for clarification, like, okay, sorry, what do you mean by that? Obviously, it depends on their level, because the more advanced a speaker is, the more aware of these things they are, and advanced speakers can self-identify when they are being vague. They might even stop themselves. I even do that sometimes. I'm like, okay, wait, let me start over. I'm being vague, okay? And you're not going to understand this. You can identify when the next person won't understand you, right? Okay, but if you can't, if you're not at that level, you need to get to that level. And again, the solution is building your vocabulary. And we haven't even talked yet about active versus passive vocabulary, because you might have a really strong passive vocabulary where you understand a lot of English, but then when you have to speak, it's a whole different story. And I don't actually have a lot of time to talk about active versus passive because I didn't include that in my notes, and we have so many other things to go over. But we're going to talk about that in the course a lot, so you'll get it there. Next, you need to work on your vocabulary in English if you feel, quote, so much smarter in your native language. Does anyone here feel like that? Where you're just like, I wish they could hear me speak Spanish. I wish they could hear me speak Russian. I am so smart. I am like one of the smartest people I know. But then you speak English and you're like, oh my gosh, everybody must think I'm so dumb. That feeling sucks. And I'm actually going to tell you guys a very personal story about when I went through something like that a little bit later on. It was humiliating, okay? So I'll tell you guys that story in a little bit. But another one, you need to improve your vocabulary if you struggle to talk about a variety of topics in conversations. So let's say maybe you have mastered the everyday introductions, like, hi, how are you? Your name, my name, what do you do for a living? Maybe you've mastered that, and maybe you're able to communicate okay with people at work. Let's say you're a programmer. We tend to attract a lot of programmers into our courses. You're able to talk about coding, and you're able to talk about all kinds of things in English. But then maybe you want to go on a date with a girl. And this girl loves psychology, and she just wants to talk to you all about psychology. And you're just like, I don't know how to talk about narcissists. That would be an awkward conversation for a first date. But yeah, like, I don't know how to talk about these things. And it'd suck, So you want to have a vocabulary that is basically equal to your native language, okay? So what do I mean by this? I mean that in your native language, if you're able to talk about things like psychology, okay, you want to also have those skills transfer over into English and have the vocabulary for that. But if there's something you don't talk about in your native language, there's no need for that vocabulary in English, okay? And we're going to talk about this a little bit later because it's one of the 8 basic principles of building your vocabulary, right? Studying stuff that's relevant to you. Everybody has different vocabulary needs because everybody has different interests. Also, by the way, your vocabulary expands and contracts naturally over time. This is something I just thought of. It was not in my notes, but it's something I wanted to mention. For example, my brother right now is into cryptocurrency. I don't know if you guys are into crypto. The market is crashing. Everybody's freaking out right now. And he has been talking to us a lot about cryptocurrency. So now I'm learning about cryptocurrency. And I'm adding all kinds of words to my vocabulary that I did not know before. Like, let me think of some off the top of my head. Well, first of all, the currencies like Ethereum, Doge. What else? What else am I learning? Decentralized. Okay, like all of blockchain. Like, I'm not just learning the words. I'm also learning what they mean and how to use them. So my vocabulary is expanding in that area. However, there are words that I used to use when I was a child that I no longer use. And I was thinking about that the other day too. It's really interesting, like the things we say when we're kids that we don't say anymore as adults. So anyways, just something interesting to think about. The same thing is going to happen for you in English, okay, or in languages. It'll happen in your native language. It'll happen in English. But the basic idea here is whatever you're able to talk about in your native language, you want to be able to talk about in English. So think about the things you know in your native language. Okay, what are your hobbies? What are your interests? What's your job? What are the things you could just talk about for hours because it's like a favorite conversation? It could be video games. It could be marketing. It could be entrepreneurship. It could be blogging. It could be just being a mom, talking about your kids and like, oh my gosh, my kid got this rash and I don't know what to do. And there's a lot of mom groups on the internet where, people gather and they talk about these things. So anyways, there's that. Now, two more that I have for you. You need to work on your vocabulary if you feel intimidated in the workplace because your English is, quote, so basic. Okay, so this is one of the easiest places where you can feel intimidated because if you have a job where you work in English, you're working mostly with native English speakers. These are people, obviously, who grew up speaking English and they use the language a certain way. They have certain, phrases, idioms, expressions that are part of their everyday communication, and you might not know what half of that stuff means. And so it makes you feel incompetent, okay? It makes you just lack confidence. Like you just don't open your mouth. You're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not going to understand them. They're not going to understand me. I'm just going to keep to myself and pretend I'm shy, even if maybe you're not shy. And that's not cool. You don't want to live life like that. You want to talk to your coworkers, like go out and have a beer with them after work if that's something you're into or whatever, like raise your voice, speak up in a meeting and share an idea. You want to be able to do this without feeling intimidated because of the difference in ability to express yourself. They have words that you don't have. They have expressions. They have understanding that you don't have. But as soon as you get to that level or, start working your way up there, you're going to feel better because that is one of the ways to increase confidence. By the way, there's 3 ways to increase, or 4. I was talking about this the other day with some of my students. There's 3 or 4 ways to increase your confidence. Okay. 1 is changing your mindset. Just change the way that you look at the world and boom, you can instantly have more confidence. Okay. But sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes you actually have to increase your ability because it's hard to be confident when everybody around you is better than you at something. Okay. So sometimes the answer is increasing your ability. And that's what we're talking about here. And the last one I have for you guys is you need to work on your vocabulary if you don't understand native speakers. And actually, we already talked about this a little bit. So if you don't understand the jokes, the cultural references, stories, when people tell stories, if your eyes just glaze over and you're like, oh my gosh, and you're thinking in your head, like, I'll just try to laugh at the key points to pretend that I understood. That's not good. And I know all about that because I've done that before. And occasionally I may or may not still do it in Spanish. Or when someone's giving you instructions. This is really important, especially at work. If someone's giving you instructions and you don't understand, how are you going to be able to do your job well, right? I'm pretty sure, without even asking anybody, I'm pretty sure people have gotten in big trouble over stuff like this before, like even maybe gotten fired, right? Just from doing something wrong at work simply because you didn't have the words or whatever, okay? So here's the idea. Vocabulary is the key, one of the keys to expressing yourself better in English, but it is the key that we're talking about in this video, okay? And for some English learners, remember at the beginning I said not everybody has to work on their vocabulary. Well, after we went through that list of you need to work on your vocabulary if, hopefully you've been able to self-identify. Do you need to work on your vocabulary or not, okay? Next, a little insider information for you guys. A native English speaker, okay, actually first let me ask you a question. How big is your vocabulary in English? Active and passive, like what do you think it is? Do you know what it is? Okay, do you think you know? Like do you think you have 5,000 words in your vocabulary? And by the way, when I talk with you guys, we always talk about the same thing here. We're talking about English. So there's a lot of words in my vocabulary that you never hear because I don't talk to you about other topics like being a mom, going on a hike, stuff like that. But if I did, you know, you might not understand me as well. A lot of people say, oh, I understand you so well. Part of the reason, besides the fact that I speak clearly, is the topic that we are discussing is one that you are well acquainted with. It's one that you know well. So how many words do you think you know in English? Do you know 3,000? Do you know 5,000? Do you think you know 10,000? Okay. Here's the deal. Native English speakers, on average, have about 20,000 words in their vocabulary. Okay. With university educated people tending to have around 40,000 words. So those are like the targets, just so you know. If you want to have like a high native level vocabulary, that's actually more than 20,000. Okay. High native level would be 30 to 40,000. Okay. Now here's the thing. Those are just individual words, right? What about expressions? What about fixed phrases? What about phrasal verbs? What about cliches? What about popular sayings that we just grow up knowing, right? That takes it to a whole new level. And I'll just pop this in here right now, even though we're going to talk about this later. If you try to learn all of these words by studying lists, like, oh, I'm just going to grab this list of 100 phrasal verbs I need to know. Okay. We're talking about well over 40,000 words and expressions. Okay. Studying a list, I don't know how to say this, is not going to be effective. There's so many better ways, you guys, to study vocabulary. And I apologize if that came off a little bit harsh because I realize that actually not a lot of people know this. And so you are doing the best you can. You're trying to learn and maybe you don't know that there's a better way. So I was laughing about it, but I caught myself because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so mean. Like sometimes people don't know that they're not doing something the best way that they can be doing. So anyways, I apologize about that. But anyhow, so yeah, basically there's a big gap. And if that's, you know, hopefully that explains to you though, like where you might be, where you want to be, and there's a lot of work ahead for you, but you can do it, right? You can get there. And I really want you to walk away with this confidence today that where you are now is not where you have to be forever or where you will be forever. So a really important thing is one, learning to enjoy the journey, and two, being confident even with where you are, like trying your best, like even if you don't have the whole vocabulary you want to have yet. Okay. Anyhow, before we jump into what we are going to talk about next, I want to tell you guys a very embarrassing story, okay? Very humiliating, embarrassing story, but I think it's important, okay? So here's the deal. You guys probably know that I speak Spanish. I learned Spanish. I started learning when I was a teenager. I lived in Argentina for a while. My husband is from Argentina. So Spanish is an everyday part of my life now. But the way we communicate, just so you guys know, usually he communicates in Spanish and I respond in English and vice versa. That's just how we do it. So one day I was working. I had this job where I was a sales representative for a company. I sent an email about it this morning. If you guys are on my email list, you got this email, so go read it. But anyhow, I was on the phone. Okay, actually, let me back up. So I was a sales representative for a company. And I'm just worried that I need to check the time because I don't know if if Instagram will let me make a live video longer than an hour. So I better not make this longer than an hour. It has cut me off before, so I have to be careful. Okay, back to the story. So I was a sales representative at a company. 5th time I've said that now. And sales was actually new for me, where you have to talk to potential clients, tell them about the products, help them decide, what they're going to get, and hope that they don't decide to go call the competition right after and buy from them instead, right? So sales is a really high stress job. It's hard. I was new in this. But anyways, in this company, I think there was one other person that spoke Spanish. So one day I was talking to my manager and I told her I spoke Spanish and she's like, oh my gosh, we can totally use you. We need to send Spanish speaking clients your way. We can make more sales. You can make more commission. It's going to be amazing. One second. I might have something on my lip. Okay. It's going to be amazing. And I was a little doubtful because I was like, yeah, I am fluent in Spanish, but this job is hard in English. So imagine doing it in Spanish, but I didn't want to let them down. So I was like, okay. I thought it was a great opportunity to practice my Spanish. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'll get to talk to clients. It's going to force me to improve my Spanish even more. Little did I know, I was like setting myself up for failure because it was so hard. Most of the people I spoke to were kind. They were patient with me because I would, Spanish wasn't my first language and I was nervous and stuff. But I remember this one day, this man called and he was so like down to business. And then he just started going off on me because I was not explaining things well. Okay. It was me. I was not explaining things well. And so he starts going off on me and yelling like, I don't understand you. And you're saying this and please send what did he say? Like, I want to talk to somebody who actually speaks Spanish. How many times have you heard that? Like, pass me to somebody who speaks English, right? That's like so offensive, but sometimes it's true. It's like, I am the client. I'm calling to get a problem solved and you're not helping me, right? Oh, it's stressful though, you guys. Oh my gosh. Has anybody here cried over a situation like this? Because I certainly have. So anyhow, that was kind of like my wake-up call, trying to deal with this guy, being on the verge of tears, on a sales call, him just yelling at me about my language skills. And that's when I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I don't want to do this. This is too stressful. And I knew I was also leaving the company soon. I wasn't going to be working with them for a long time. So I did not feel like it was worth my time and effort to work on my vocabulary, since I was leaving in like 1 or 2 months. So I basically had to set up a meeting with my boss and explain the situation. And she did not understand because to somebody who's not fluent in a foreign language, they don't understand. Or someone who speaks one language, they don't understand what it means to be fluent, but not fluent enough to do a certain job, right? So I really had to explain to her like, no, look, I can tell jokes at the dinner table with my in-laws, and I can speak Spanish on an every day-to-day basis. But what you're asking for is high level, sales professionalism that I barely have in English. And now you want me to have it in Spanish. I'm sorry. I'm simply unqualified and I'm not capable. And it was so embarrassing to have to admit that. And I had to beg them to not send me Spanish speaking clients because they wanted to keep sending them anyways. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Then I had to, explain to my coworkers why they could no longer transfer calls from Spanish speakers to me. They'd be like, Steph, what's going on? So then I had to admit to everybody that my Spanish is good, but it's not that good. Okay, so it really sucked. And here's the thing that I realized in all of this. I had the luxury as an English speaker of turning down that work and saying, I don't want to do this, without it really truly affecting my career or my paycheck very much. Do you have that luxury? Probably not, because the reason most of you are learning English is not just because you like the language, okay? Because then maybe you could learn Swedish or German. It's because it is the language that the world uses to communicate. There are more opportunities for English speakers. So that means you're going to be able to provide a better life for yourself, for your family, have more opportunities for places where you can live around the world, where you can work, where you can study, how much money you can make. Okay, so it's like you don't have that luxury that I had. And that's the part that it's kind of like a hard pill to swallow, But then you got to get right back up on the horse again and get to work, because it's like that's the way the cookie crumbles. Are we going to cry about it? This is the way the world is. We got to just roll with it. So anyways, what I can say is I've learned from that situation, and I'm glad that I can come here today and help you guys through this kind of stuff. And I understand what it is and where it's like, but your situation is different, and it's not like mine was, because I had that luxury and unfortunately you guys don't. But again, we're not just going to sit here and cry about what we can't change about the world, right? We're going to face the challenge, and facing challenges builds resilience. Okay. So when you come to a workplace, something you need to keep in mind is not only am I able to do this work, but I'm doing it in a foreign language, okay? So that should give you some confidence in yourself, and it should help you be a little easy on yourself when you're, maybe not as good as the other English speakers around you, okay? Remember, you guys, this is a journey. But I know where I see you guys in the future, so I hope you see yourself there, and I know that, together we can get you there. So that's my embarrassing story. Someone says, oh my gosh, you're using a lot of sayings. Yes, I think that happens when I start storytelling. When I start storytelling, it just comes out. When I'm just talking about basic English stuff, it's, just basic English stuff. Okay. So moral of the story is more competence equals more confidence. When you're more competent, okay, when you're able to do something better, better ability, more ability equals more confidence. So what do I have written here next? Okay, so basically the key to expressing yourself better and finally understanding native speakers is increasing your vocabulary. Again, this is the main theme. Great. Now we get to talk about what to focus on and how to study. What to focus on and how to study. Because as I was saying earlier, there are a lot of study methods out there that I don't endorse, that I don't think work, that are not optimal, okay, for your brain. Okay, basically, when I teach languages, when I teach anything, I always try to work with your brain, not against it, because your brain has a natural way of absorbing information. And there's unnatural ways it can absorb information, but why would you want to do that? It's like hitting your head against a brick wall, right? And hoping that something magically pops in, right? That's dumb. Okay, so basically, you have to first start with where you're at, okay? When we talk about increasing your vocabulary, what are we talking about? We're talking about learning more individual words, okay? So just random things like, what is that thing called? What is that thing called? Remember, we talked about abstract words, concrete words, things you can actually see versus things you can't see. You need to learn more phrasal verbs, right? And then the alternative for a phrasal verb, which is usually like a Latin root type word that most people already know. You need to learn more idioms, more jargon, okay? Jargon is like the words that people overuse within certain industries, okay? Like industry jargon. Like, for example, within the realm of entrepreneurship, you're going to hear the word sales funnel a lot. Sales funnel, sales funnel. What's a sales funnel? Well, sales is a word you might know. Funnel, you might even know that word. But what is a sales funnel? So understanding the meaning behind the jargon, it's not just the individual words. It's like, what is that thing? Understanding that thing and understanding how it works, right? That's a big part of vocabulary, because if you know a word, but you have no idea how to use it, right? That's not good. And by the way, one of the biggest mistakes learners make is they use words like immediately. They just think they can add it to their vocabulary right away. And then you hear people making these really unnatural sentences or using too many idioms, for example, which doesn't sound natural. Or using words incorrectly because they don't actually understand how that word is supposed to be used. And that happens a lot with slang, okay? Because slang is very specific terminology meant to be used in a certain way. And if you just find a slang word and go, cool, I like that word, I'm going to start just, flowering my language with that word, boom, all of a sudden you can have a problem where people are like, I'm sorry, why are you saying that? That does not make sense. Or it sounds like you're trying too hard, right? And I don't know about you guys, but when I'm learning a language, I don't like looking like I'm trying too hard. We want to make it look effortless. Oh my goodness, right? Standards are high, you guys. Standards are high. Okay, next, you have to learn technical terminology for whatever your work is. Maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a nurse, pharmacist. Okay, there's all kinds of words that you use in your native language. Now you got to learn those in English. Next, expressions, the things people say that just come out that are, they're fixed phrases, but they're like, how would you say this? An expression is different from a fixed phrase because a fixed phrase is not necessarily an expression. I'll just say that. But like, that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way the cookie crumbles, but that's also an idiom. So anyhow, Idioms are not always expressions. Expressions are not always idioms. We're not going to get too far into that. We'll talk about that more in the course though. And then there's cliches, there's sayings. So there's all kinds of word groupings, individual words and word groupings that make up this thing called vocabulary. And improving all of these areas is what improves your vocabulary and helps you express yourself better and understand people better. Okay. So there are 8 basic principles for building your vocabulary, right? For learning and remembering, okay? Because one of the biggest problems you have is you don't remember the stuff that you study and learn. Now, we only have time to go through 3 of them right now. I'm not going to go through all of them, just 3. We'll go through all 8 in the course. I'm going to get some water. I'm thirsty. Hang on. Okay. This is my big water bottle. It comes in very, very handy. I call it my water canteen. Okay. Okay, so 8 basic principles. We're only going to go through 3. The first one, you should only focus on learning words in context. Okay, so there are words all around us, right? There are words all around us in all kinds of content and contexts. And that is how you want to learn them. You want to extract from what's around you. You do not want to study lists of words that were randomly created by somebody else who thought that those words would be important to you, because maybe those words are not important. Who knows? But beyond that, studying lists is not optimal practice for the brain. That works against your brain, not with your brain, okay? That is not how the brain remembers, because there's no context. And the way we remember things is like there's a spider web, okay? There's a spider web in your head and it needs to connect to lots of different things. So how many of you can remember where you were when you learned a certain word, okay? This happens to me all the time. Like I'll learn a word and then I remember the context in which I learned it. Where was I? What was around me? Who was I with? What happened? Why did that word even come up in conversation, right? So that is how the brain remembers, by creating a spider web that's connected to individual things. And then all these spider webs are connecting in your brain, okay, to help you remember things. That's how you remember your experiences. That's how you remember new words. That's how you remember important information. And when something is not connected, it's just like floating out here like a little detail. It's not part of the web. Okay, so the brain goes, bye-bye, you're not important. I'll see you later. I'm not going to remember you. Take care. So we don't want that, right? So you want to study words in context. Now, I have a little example, and I don't even think this is the best example, but we're just going to go with it, okay? I have 3 words for you. Now, these are big words, okay, but they're important. They're good to know. But I'm just using them for this example. So the first word is conundrum. Conundrum. Do you know this word? Second word is accolades. Accolades. Do you know this word? Third word is ostracize. Ostracize. Do you know this word? Okay. So we're just going to study this as a list. Conundrum. This is a confusing and difficult problem or question. Accolades. This is an award or privilege granted as a special honor or as an acknowledgement of merit. Ostracize. This is to exclude someone from a society or group. Okay. Now imagine having 20 of these words, and now you have to learn all of them. What? I don't even remember these 3, right? So now I just have a couple sentences where I used these words, and let's pretend you're reading this in the newspaper. Okay. So it says, the current situation is proving to be quite a conundrum. While accolades are being passed out left and right to politicians who don't keep their word, anyone who questions them is being publicly ostracized. Okay? So boom, all of a sudden you have context, you have a story, you have something happening, right? And maybe you don't know those words and what they mean, but now you can go look them up and be like, I'm going to go find out what that word means because I want to know what the heck is happening to these people in this story. Okay. So that like heightens your interest basically in the subject. And anytime your interest is heightened in anything, boom, memory retention kicks in. Okay. And your brain is like primed for learning and absorbing new information. So you got to study in context. Next, okay, you got to study words that are relevant to you, not random. Again, not random words. Always, always, always relevant words. So you got to find where these words are. Where are these words? These words that are so relevant to you, okay? You get to be like a hunter, okay? You get to hunt these words. You get to find these words. Obviously, in the course that I run, I'm going to show you how to do this because as you guys can see, there's a lot of information here. There's no time for me to do this all in one live video. That's why the course is an 8-week course because I'm going to break everything down, take you through it step by step. You're going to have an experience that is going to help you truly understand how to learn these new words, start adding them to your long-term memory and being able to use them right away. Anyways, so again, think of your lifestyle, your job, your hobbies, your interests. You can even make a list of all these things. In fact, I recommend that. And ask yourself, where is my vocabulary in my native language? What am I able to talk about? Okay. And then a tip, just start finding content, okay, that has those words in English and start extracting vocabulary, really analyze it and be like, what is here that I don't know? Okay. Most people, when they consume content, actually, I'm giving you guys a fourth principle. Okay. The extracting, right? The extracting vocabulary. Most people, they understand content because you can understand a lot through context. So it tricks your brain. It makes you feel like you know it already, but maybe you don't know it. Maybe you don't know it enough to actually use it. This is why you have to get really detailed and structured with your study if you want to improve your vocabulary actively and not passively wait for your vocabulary to just expand on its own. If you want to do this actively, you have to extract vocabulary yourself and really analyze every word, every sentence, and the way words are connected to each other, because maybe there's an expression there that you never realized before, that it is an expression, or maybe there's a fixed phrase that you're like, oh my gosh, I just realized I see that all the time in English, but I never use it. I never realized it was a fixed phrase. It's not just a random, creative set of words, because there's, certain ways to communicate through fixed phrases and through creative communication. And I don't know, maybe it's like 50-50. Maybe we use 50% fixed phrases and 50% creative communication. By the way, I just thought of this on the fly. On the fly, see, that's another one. And I really like this explanation. So I'm going to just pat myself on the back there. Creative communication versus fixed phrases. So you have to identify what is what, because if it's a fixed phrase, boom, you can take it like a magnet and stick it to yourself and be like, all right, I'm going to grab that and I'm going to use that and I'm going to grab that and I'm going to use that. But if it's creative communication, obviously, somebody else created it. You can take it and use it if you want, or you can learn how to make your own creative communication. Okay. The last thing I'm going to say about the 8 basic principles. So this is actually going to be the 4th one now. Always, 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 when you learn a new word, check the pronunciation, because generally we learn words by reading them. Okay. And you want to make sure you're saying it correctly, because English is the worst language. It is not phonetic at all. And so many people go around pronouncing words incorrectly, English learners, because they don't know how to pronounce something, because they never looked it up when they learned the word. And this is especially true of you guys who are super, super smart, okay, in your native language, and you're like reading articles all the time in English and you understand exactly what you're reading and everything. But then when it comes time to opening your mouth, people are like, I'm sorry, what? Okay, so just keep that in mind. And this was the case with Renzo when I met him, my husband. He could read English and understand, 85% or more maybe. But when he would speak to me, I was like, what are you saying? So always check the pronunciation, okay? Now it is time to talk about our new vocab course. All right, you guys, I'm really excited about this, and we'll talk now for 15 minutes about the course. I'll answer questions and we will wrap it up so the video doesn't get too long. But basically, like I said in the beginning, I created this vocabulary course because I realized how important it is for you to increase and improve your vocabulary But more importantly, I put in a ton of time to thinking about the most methodical approach, okay, to solving this problem for you. So courses with me are not just me teaching in a video like this or something like that, okay? This is the coaching. This is like the type of coaching that I do. So there's going to be videos like this, live coaching videos in the course. And as you can see, I can put in a lot in 1 hour. But basically what I do is I like creating experiences for my students, because this is one of the best ways for you to learn, is through having an experience, not watching a video, okay? Not doing something on your own, not, getting a course and just doing it DIY style on your own, okay? But actually having an experience, right? So what you could expect basically is that you join the course, and on week 1, you're going to get a project. I love doing this every single week. This is my project-based teaching method. I give you a project where all you have to do is steps 1 through 10 or whatever. Complete this, complete this, complete this. It seems really simple. But then when you do it, you go, oh my gosh, like this works. This is why it works. Wow, I've never done this before. I'm so glad I'm doing this. And then at the end of the week, I do a coaching video like this, because, you turn in your homework and then I look through all the students' homework. I take notes on what people are doing well, what they need to improve, so that I can give feedback. I collect questions, and then I do feedback. And every week is completely different, and you will never, ever be able to guess what I am going to give you in the next week. Somebody asked me today, can I have a sneak peek of your course? I just want to see what it's like. That's impossible with my courses, because, and those of you who've done my courses, you know this, there's no sneak peek I could give, because every week is so different. It's not like standard, basically. It's not like I'm just going to share vocabulary with you. Oh, by the way, this course is not that kind of course. I'm not just going to teach you vocabulary, because can you imagine how much time that would take for me to teach you 200 new words or something like that? Oh my gosh, that would take a lot of time, and it would not be effective. So in this course, what I do is I teach you how to learn vocabulary, how to absorb it and acquire it, the best strategies that work, okay? And then I give you tasks, 1 task a week, that will help you implement what you learn and start acquiring the vocabulary that you need for your life to express yourself how you want to express yourself. Everybody's vocabulary needs are different, so I think it's insane to unless I were making a course with the most common vocabulary you need to know. But I honestly think that what we're going to do in this course is so much more important and powerful than something like that. So that's why I'm doing this as a course, as opposed to something more traditional. What else can I say? This is an 8-week course. It's live in the sense that there's going to be a week 1, a week 2. We're going to have a bunch of students. Everybody's going to do it together, okay? If you fall behind, obviously, that's okay. This is not regular school. I'm not going to scold you and say, you fail. No, you have lifetime access to the course. You'll be able to do it again and again and again. And what I'm trying to do, what my goal is for the first 8 weeks, and I call it, the course is 8 weeks, but I'm calling it the first 8 weeks, because I want the learning to continue in our study group after the 8 weeks. So for the first 8 weeks, I'm just going to teach you and show you, and you're going to have an experience that will help you understand how to study. But then you have lifetime access to our community, and I expect the students to continue studying together using the methodologies that you're going to learn in the course. So that means studying together. That means studying individually. That means studying the way that I show you to study. That means posting your content, posting your homework, okay? Creating new assignments for yourself, right? It's going to be really great. It's going to be very transformational, very active. It is not the kind of course where, you have to come to class and we're going to do, small group classes with 8 students or 4 students, and then we're going to do big group classes, because I am such a big believer in not wasting people's time. And I know how to teach in a way where I know when to bring people together and I know when to make them do stuff on their own. Okay. And that's just the simplest way I can say it. And you just have to trust that I know what I'm talking about. And we offer a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you're scared, like, oh my gosh, this sounds good, but I don't know, you can join, do the work, see if it works for you, see if you like the method, see if you like the community, see if you like me, and then you can decide whether you want to stay with us long-term or not. Okay, so that's, I think, the most important points. 8-week course, weekly schedule. There's no overwhelm in this course, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever seen or bought courses where it's like 300 videos in this course. We have, 50 or 100 hours of content. I don't believe in courses like that because I can teach a lot in 1 hour. I don't need 500 hours to teach you what you need to learn so that you can take action and get the results, okay? So just putting that out there. It's very effective, the stuff that we do, and I only teach you what you need to know to be able to take action and get those results. And then, of course, we do the coaching videos. So it's not going to be overwhelming. It's not going to require a ton of your time to watch videos and stuff like that. You watch the video, you learn what you need to learn, you get your task, you start working. Because, The real learning takes place, and this is a quote that I made. I don't know if you guys saw this. The real learning happens when you do the work, not when I talk about it. So when I talk about it, stuff is good. It helps you understand, but then you have to do the work. Okay. So I just want to mention the goals of the course. Goal number 1, help you achieve a high native level vocabulary. Okay. Now this isn't going to happen overnight, honestly. Okay. Right. We need to be honest here and set the expectations. But here's the thing. When you learn certain strategies and you put them in practice and then you have ongoing support, it's totally possible. Okay. When you achieve it is going to depend on you. Okay. And your time, your schedule, what you need to learn, where you're at right now. But that's the goal of the course. And the course will show you exactly how to do that. Okay. And it will help you and will support you along the way. So goal 1, help you achieve a high native level level of English vocabulary. 2, goal of the course, help you get immediate results. I want you to start feeling your results immediately, and you will, okay? And I want you to enjoy long-term success. I don't want this to just be something that works right now, okay? It's gonna help you get immediate results now and set you up to have long-term success with your English communication. Another goal of the course, I want you to learn the best methods for long-term memory retention, okay? Not just like how to memorize, 10 words fast so you can just memorize them. No, long-term memory retention. So we're gonna be using methodologies that work with your brain, not against it. And it's so funny, you guys, I have to say this. I am not a psychologist or like a person that studied the brain, what are they called? Scientist. But I just observe things around me, okay? I just observe how people learn, how I learn, and then I came up with all these conclusions based on my observations about best methodologies, best practices, and then I did the research about the brain, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I figured this out before even reading the research. So that was really cool, and it was really cool to know that everything I'm going to be teaching in this course is lined up with what the research says about optimal memory retention and stuff like that. Next, another goal of the course is to help you guys have a safe place to practice with and a supportive community. If you have never been in one of my courses or communities before, you might be like, why do I need a community? Just wait, you'll see. It makes a huge difference. People in our community, they become friends for life, practice partners. They go visit each other. Okay. They go to each other's countries to go on vacation together. It's insane. Next, I want you guys to have a fun, life-changing experience. I don't want this course to be boring. So it's not going to be boring. And, I want it to be life-changing. So I designed it in a way where you'll go through it and you'll be like, oh my gosh. If you do the work though, okay, that's the thing. It's obviously it's not going to change your life if you don't do anything with it, but you have to follow the steps, step by step, and just trust me on this. And finally, of course, I want to just set you on the path to success with your English vocab so you can look back fondly on this memory years from now and go, I remember when I did that course with Stephanie. It was so great. And, just enjoy this amazing vocabulary. Okay. So in the course, there's going to be a lot of coaching, also we're going to talk about all of these things, and I'm going to be really paying attention to what people are struggling with in the moment so I can address all of that on a weekly basis. Okay, so if people are like, oh, I'm really struggling with remembering these words, I'm really struggling with knowing what kind of vocabulary I should focus on personally or whatever, I'm going to be answering all of those questions and just guiding everybody week by week. It'll be a very personalized experience in that sense. So yeah, you're going to get content, community, and coaching. 8 weeks, and then I'm going to unleash you, okay? And you get to stay in that community for life, and I want you to continue using the strategies for years to come, okay? Because seriously, you guys, improving your vocab, I probably don't even have to say this, but it literally will open so many doors for you. And I want to get those emails where you're like, Stephanie, I got a job, I got this, I did so well in the interview, I knew exactly what to say and how to say it, and thank you. Okay, because then I know that I'm doing my job, okay? So this is how it works. I help you, and then you let me know that I've helped you. Okay, now we can do a bit of Q&A. Oh my goodness, we have 3 minutes. I really hope that this doesn't cut me off. And let me see if there was anything else I wanted to say about this. I feel like there was, but now I don't remember. Oh, yes. You guys, if you're thinking of joining, please, please, please join right now. Join today. And here's why. Because before the course starts, and we start next Thursday, okay? Before the course starts, we're doing a mini speaking challenge in our private community, and you can take advantage of that. So you're going to get a lot of speaking practice, okay, and conversation practice before the course starts, because the course starts on Thursday. Enrollment closes on Tuesday at midnight. All the information is linked in my bio, so just check it out there. If you're like, well, what time zone is this in? Okay, just check it out there. Thank you so much. If any of you guys have to make a faith jump before enrolling in a course, this is the right woman to do it with. Improvement guarantee. Yay! And by the way, I love how you said a faith jump. We say a leap of faith, but faith jump, that's creative. That goes back to creative communication. Okay. How to activate passive vocabs, because this is a common problem. The answers sound so stupid. You have to make it active. Okay. No, but here's something that I say. When something becomes a regular part of your life, then it automatically becomes active. So let's say you're trying to learn, car mechanic vocabulary or something. But it's passive. It's like you kind of know it, you understand it when people say it, but you don't use it. The minute you start talking to people about mechanics and the cars that you fix and all this stuff, that's when it's going to become really available in your mind. My fear is to use a lot of words, but use them in the wrong way, because in my head, I think in Portuguese, translating everything to English. Yeah. And that's a common problem. A lot of people learn a lot of words and use them in the wrong way, but I'll show you guys how to avoid this. And a lot of it is going to come down to seeing those words repeatedly in different contexts so that your brain can actually understand how that word is supposed to be used. Because someone can tell you how to use the word, but sometimes that doesn't matter. You actually literally have to see a word 100 different ways or 20 different ways for your brain to click and go, oh, that's how to use the word. That's when to use the word. That's when not to use the word. And one of the mistakes that, beginner learners make is they learn a word and they go, yeah, I can use this word. This is a great word. And then they're just using it wrong all over the place. I'm guilty of that, so I can say it. I've done that before. How to contact you for participating in the course. You guys, the link is in my bio, okay? And like I said, join today because I really want as many people as possible to participate in our speaking challenge. The more people that do it, the better it's going to be. And it's just going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to help you get to know people in the course so that when the course starts, you'll already have your buddies, if you know what I mean. Nope, there's no limited space in the course for our first round of enrollment. So we're enrolling students. Everybody is welcome. That's the beauty of this online learning thing. And the way that I teach, right? Since I don't do like small group classes or anything like that, everybody's welcome. I'm a content writer. I face issues in copywriting in particular when I just don't think something creative word-wise. Oh yeah, this can help you for sure. For sure. I don't know what strategies you use currently, but I think this can definitely help you. Yeah, okay. Someone says, thank you for my YouTube videos. You've learned a lot from them. That's awesome. I will get back to YouTube, you guys, eventually. But it's just been rough. I've been busy working and juggling. Do you know that word? I've been juggling a lot of things. So YouTube has not been a possibility for me right now, but I have not forgotten about it. Okay, I'm scrolling up to see if I missed something that I can answer maybe right away, because there was no new comments. How can I know if the new words I'm using are out of context in terms of formal and informal? This comes naturally with time and practice. In the beginning, you might not know, and you might just have to roll with it and be like, I don't know, okay? But with time, you will know. And I'm going to give you strategies so that when you learn new words, you'll actually be able to classify them and know, is this formal? Is this not formal? Where should I use this? When should I use this? How should I use this? Okay, I'm not going to scroll up anymore because I was just getting lost. I know people with great vocabulary and poor pronunciation and vice versa. Exactly. And that's why I said at the beginning of the video, this is not the case for everybody. Some people don't need to work on their vocabulary, and you need to identify yourself. If this is you, you need to, either way, you need to know, do I need to work on my vocabulary or do I not? I'll tell you guys right now, as a Spanish speaker, I've got fluency, I've got pronunciation, I've got understanding native speakers. Vocabulary is the one thing that if I were to work on anything in my Spanish, I would work on vocabulary, and I would do it with the methods I'm going to teach you. I love these methods so much, you guys, that I even started using them myself. I just haven't been able to use them as often as I want because I've been creating the course for you guys. But I can say wholeheartedly, I adore these methods, and I don't know. I just love it. What else? Is there much social media tasks involved in the course? Okay, so this sounds like a question that's coming from someone who is in my Fluency Breakthrough Challenge. You will be posting your homework, okay, in our private Facebook community, but it's private, so you don't have to worry about doing anything public. But yes, every single task will get posted in the community, okay? A lot of the tasks, though, you do by yourself, like in your own home first, because, you know, it's vocabulary. You're going to be working on extracting vocabulary and mining for it and digging for it and classifying it and studying it. But then there are other elements too, like talking with your peers, okay? So it just depends. Social media is just a tool, and we're going to use the tool to help you achieve the goals that I mentioned earlier, like reaching a high native level vocabulary, getting results, learning the best methods. We're just using social media as a tool. What else? Can I take the vocabulary course and the challenge course? Yes. The challenge, our Fluency Breakthrough Challenge, starts in July. I will be honest, every course that I make is going to require 4 to 5 hours of your time a week. Okay, so just keep that in mind so that when you're planning your courses, if you're thinking of overlapping courses, you have time. Like right now, we have a bunch of students who are finishing the daily English program, and some of them are probably thinking, oh, maybe I want to join this. I don't know. Can I handle the workload? Especially because in the daily English program, like the last 2 weeks are some of the most intense weeks, but it's up to you. It's up to how much time you have, the priority that you give to each thing, etc. What time is the course? Is it every day? Okay, so every week on Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, you are going to get access to new material, okay? That material is going to include whatever lesson I need to share with you, whatever task I need to give you for the week. So you get it, you go through it, and then boom, the same day you're able to start completing the homework, okay? Your project, your task. And then the following week is when I do the live video to give the group feedback and everything. So you don't have to worry about showing up for anything. If you can't make the live video, don't worry, you can watch the replay. That's how it is. That's the structure of the course, because the way we learn, one of the best ways to learn is like getting the information and then just doing the work, right? You don't necessarily have to show up to learn something. I know a lot of courses are structured like that, okay? But that does not work with a lot of people's busy schedules and with all of our time zones. And plus, what I'm going to teach you does not require that type of delivery, right? There are certain things maybe that you need to have delivered in that way. Like, for example, if I want singing classes, I'm going to want to be with somebody who can hear me sing, okay? And then give me feedback, right? Direct, instant feedback. That's what I would prefer. But then again, there are singing courses where it's just like, hey, just do the course on your own. I don't know. I wouldn't prefer it for singing, but for building vocabulary, I think it's totally possible. How much hours each class? It depends. It depends. Some are going to be half an hour. Some are going to be a whole hour. Okay, maybe more, maybe less, but that really does not matter unless you're worried about not having enough time. Because again, remember you guys, I teach a lot and I teach it fast. And the stuff that I teach, it's like you could rewatch the video. You're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to digest there. I'm going to watch that video again. All right. So, I don't like bragging about like, oh, my course has so and so many hours in it, because I don't think it's about the hours. I think it's about the quality of the content, the quality of the teaching and all of that stuff. And I think based on the hearts, a lot of you guys agree with me. Awesome. Okay. Yes, I guess your assignments are going to be on fire. Yeah, you guys, I'm super excited about this. By the way, I want to shout out the Daily English program, also all my students there. Creating that program, you guys, was the catalyst for me to understand truly how to deliver a transformational course. The methodology we use in the Daily English program, for anybody who's in that program, it's the same that we're going to do in the vocabulary course. It's here's the lesson, here's what you need to know, here's the homework, and then boom, here's the feedback video. And you Daily English students, you guys know how powerful and effective this is. And this is probably going to be the only methodology I ever use when I create courses, because it's just so powerful. And I just figured it out one day and I realized it works. It's the best. Even though the video is for, I think you mean the course, is for learning vocabulary, it will also help with grammar. Yes, actually that is a really cool side, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I don't have the word for it right now. Side effect, I guess is what I was trying to say, of the kind of studying we're going to do, is that it actually will, if you're an observant person, which I'm going to teach you how to be if you're not, this course can even help you improve your grammar. So it won't explain grammar rules and why something is the way it is, but it will really help you internalize a lot of patterns that you come across. Okay, how can we pay for this course? You guys, we accept credit, debit, and PayPal, okay? And the link is in my bio, okay? So just go to the page, read through it, okay? And if you have any questions, even if you think it's a dumb question, just send me a message or send us an email, okay? Some people say don't say very, for instance, say destitute instead of very poor, but does it sound natural to say destitute in everyday English? No, you guys, I have a highlight in my stories about people that make this kind of content They are not serious English teachers. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just trying to get clicks. They're desperate for attention. They don't know what to teach, what people actually need to learn. And so they pull this content out of their ass, basically. They do it because they see everybody else doing it. And so they think, oh, this is popular. This is what people want. And we use the word very all the time in English. So you don't ever have to be afraid of that word or any word. And you're not going to sound smarter just for using other words or dumber just because you use very. There's so much more that goes into communication than just individual words. By the way, that is a telltale sign when people talk about stuff like that of somebody who does not truly understand language acquisition. Okay, so just anybody can call themselves an English teacher online or an English coach or whatever, and they can even have a certificate. They can even work as an English teacher. But that does not guarantee that somebody understands language acquisition and how to help you acquire language. Okay, so just keep that in mind. As I always say, choose your teachers wisely. What English level should I have to take part in this course? Whatever level you have now is fine, because if you're understanding my video and participating, you're definitely at the level you need to participate in the course. And by the way, some of my courses, I say, oh, this is for more advanced learners or something like that. But this course, even if you are at a lower intermediate level, you can totally do it as long as you understand English, because it's about the methodologies you're going to learn. Yeah. PayPal is blocked in my country. Okay, so I hope that you can either use credit or debit. And guys, get creative, okay? Like if you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, but I really want to, it's going to help me. Like just get creative. Think, how can I make this a reality for myself? Like, I'm not even kidding. Maybe there are people in your family who could help sponsor your education. You don't have to put it like, can you buy this course for me? But hey, like I'm trying to improve my English so I can one day provide more for my family or whatever. Could you help sponsor my education? Oh, what do you mean by sponsor your education? Well, I'm trying to get this course that I know is going to help me, and I'm trying to find 5 people who can give me however much, it is. So you can get creative. There was one of my students who confessed to me recently. She's like, I did not have money for your daily English program. She's like, and I wanted it so bad. She's like, I ended up asking for money so I could have it. And she's like, I was so surprised. People gave me the money. They wanted to support me. So I know money can be a problem sometimes, you guys, but that's why I say get creative. I had to get super creative when I wanted to study in Argentina and I had no money. I did so many things. I can't believe I made a fundraiser. I got people to donate items to like this big basket. Okay. And then I sold raffle tickets. Okay, I sold raffle tickets and I made my own raffle. And then the winner got the basket of stuff and I got the money so that I could go to Argentina. That was one of the fundraisers that I did. Then I did a fundraiser where it was a GoFundMe, okay? And then I actually went in a shopping center and I just asked people if they could spare any change, okay? And I think it's crazy that I did that, but I was so desperate for this educational, life-changing experience that I did whatever it took to get it, okay? So I just want to put that out there as like a little nudge, a little inspiration for whoever needs it. Let me see. Anything else about the course, you guys? Okay, I think we're done with questions about the course. Okay, so that's it. Again, if you guys have, wow, Steph, you're so brave. Yeah, I don't know if I'm brave or if I was just desperate. Okay, I think desperation helps us do brave things. I think that's just the truth. Okay, so you guys, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for watching this video. I talked so much. I can see my lips are very dry, so I'm sorry. Not very pretty, but that's okay. All right. So you guys, again, I look forward to seeing you guys in the course. And any other questions, send us an email, don't hesitate. DM me. I'm here for you. I am here for you. Okay, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Yeah, let's call it a day. That's right. Bye, guys.